Let's talk about selling random non-media items on Amazon, FBA. Despite my YouTube moniker being Book Bandit and most of my inventory sitting in Amazon warehouses being books and other media items, I have dabbled in some non-media categories and products. I stress the word dabbled because I have hardly sent any in and not sold that many, but it was enough to get me thinking about it again, especially after my sourcing trip yesterday, where I found those two boxed items, the bacon one and the paper set or paper mill, which were both in really good condition. So luckily I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of my sales by category, and I have a section for miscellaneous or non-media items. So I took a look at the numbers and I was actually pretty impressed, considering that I haven't been selling very many of those types of items on Amazon for very long. I only started getting my first sales in August of last year, so these numbers are only for the last 7 months. I really only started sending in these types of items around the end of summer of last year, and then they started selling in August. So since August, I've sold 24 non-media related items. I know, not that impressive. However, the numbers are a bit more convincing. My cost for those 24 items were $54, so not very much. And my gross sales were $690, and Amazon paid me just over $500. So it was about 10 times return on the $54 that I spent, which is awesome. And a lot of them sold fairly quickly. That's the other thing. Some of the ranks for these were really low in their respective categories, which is something that I like about getting into other niches or other categories and other types of products, is I can find some, or I do find some with great ranks that will move fast. So even if I have to put out $5 or $10 or sometimes more, 15 or something, I can move them quicker. At least those are the ones that I prefer to send in. The most I spent on one individual item of those 24 that have sold so far since August of last year was $10. The next highest spent was $8. The $10 one was actually a DVD VCR combo, and the $8 one was a cordless phone. So interestingly and not surprisingly, the items that sold for the most money were electronics. In addition to the cordless phone, I sold DVD, VCR combos, or just straight DVD player. So those sold for good money and moved pretty fast. That was something that I was interested in and looking into more and considering doing more consistently. And kind of surprisingly, it wasn't too hard to find some of those items to resell. I just focused in on whatever I would find in terms of electronics, but I also focused in on the ones that didn't come in boxes that are just sitting on shelves in thrift stores. I focused on the VCRs and the DVD players or combos of those two. And there's a lot of them. You'll find a lot in Goodwill, and there's some other thrift stores that have them. And usually you can test them in the store to make sure they turn on. If you have a DVD, or if you have a VHS tape, it's even better. Or if they have one, you can test them out to make sure that they play. But of course, you're still not certain until you connect it to a television and make sure that it works fine. The other thing is deciding whether or not to sell it if it has a remote or not, because you can frequently send the item in with a universal remote, which I believe I did on one of those. But the $10 one, I found it in a estate sale, and it was in pristine condition. It came with the original remote and directions and the cables. That particular VCR DVD combo looked brand new, really. It looked like it hadn't been used. It was just taken out of the box, sitting on the shelf. Possibly had been used a few times, or it was just really well taken care of. So that one I got for $10, but was able to sell it for $129, and I actually did merchant fulfilled. Shipping was $21, and then Amazon took a little bit for themselves, so I made around $85 to $90 profit off of the $10 that I spent on the item. So that's the thing I like about some of the electronics, is they sell for a little bit more money, and even though I had to put out $10, I still made back my money 8 to 9 times, so that was definitely worth the effort. I got another DVD player that was a Magnavox for $5, and that sold for $79. Another great flip. And another Magnavox that I got for $5, and it sold for a little less, but still good money, for $39. So between those three, as well as the cordless phone and another Emerson electronic product. I did pretty well just on those 5 items. In terms of the other ones, it was just really random. I found a brand new flat screen safety strap, which was totally random, called Quake Hold. It actually was in the category of tools and it sold really quickly. I got it for $3, but sold for $26. So that was a really fast flip, good return on my money. It was actually ranked 3,100 in tools, which I imagine is pretty amazing rank. No wonder that it sold so quickly. I also sold some printer cartridges, which I'm kind of staying away from at this point because I don't want to accidentally send one in that is expired or there's any issue with it. But those can be really great sellers, sell really fast and sell for good money, especially if you can find them for cheap. And I was able to get a lot of those for $1 or less, and they turned around really quick. Didn't sell for a ton of money, but selling for $13, $14 really fast off of $1 spent is a nice quick return on your money. I also found some foreign adapter plugs that sold pretty quickly, some HD formatted diskettes, a few toys, this thing called Snow Cone, which was a Snoopy deal. So just a lot of random stuff amongst the 24 items. But the electronics were definitely the most profitable and most interesting for me. I stopped really looking for the VCRs or DVD players just because I've been focusing so much on books and other media. Being able to spend time on books, CDs, VHS tapes, and now slowly vinyl really takes up most of my sourcing time, the little bit that I have when I'm out there at the thrift stores. So I don't have the time to go look at the electronics. Maybe if and when I get more time for sourcing, I'll be able to do that. But if you have the time, I recommend looking at some of those VCRs and DVD combos because some of them can go for good money and have good ranks. Just make sure that they work and to test them out. So even though I sell mostly books and I love books and I'm going to keep doing books and focusing on books as well as other media, I enjoy dipping my toe into these other categories, especially when I can make some quick, fast returns and nice profit. So I'm not averse to selling other categories. I just don't want to focus on those because those don't interest me as much. I don't go to Walmart or Target or other retail stores looking for that stuff, but if I find it at a thrift store or at a yard sale or at a estate sale, then I'll take advantage of it. The big lesson for me, looking at the numbers, is that diversifying is great and getting to know some other categories is really worth it, especially when you find something that you like for me, some electronics, like VCRs and DVD players. The only thing is that you have to worry about packaging them. So when you send them in FBA, you have to send them in their own box or wrap them up somehow. You can do bubble wrap or something like that, but they do take up space. That's why I recommend you get ones that'll sell quicker. They're not always that heavy, but it depends. Some of them can be heavier than others. Some of them are pretty small, like the DVD player. The Magnavox was really, really tiny, so that wasn't that big a deal. The one Philips that I sold, I did merchant fulfilled because it was rather large and I didn't want to send it in to FBA. And also I was just worried that it might get damaged on the way to the warehouse or in the warehouse, that sort of thing. So I just decided to do it MF and it sold for good money and great profit. So yeah, if you're doing books and other media, then it doesn't hurt to kind of dabble in other stuff because flipping is flipping, reselling is reselling. If it's there sitting in front of you, you might as well do it as long as doesn't seem out of your reach or something you don't understand how to prepare or what the item is, or if it's expired, or if it has everything in there. I recommend getting things that are either new in the box or you can test and make sure that they work and that everything is in order, because you don't want to worry about returns or any bad feedback or something like that. So it was fun to look at the other categories, and let me know if you have dabbled in other categories or if you're heavy into other categories. I'd be interested to know, because I'm always looking to expand my product reach and diversify. As always, remember, keep booking!